Grip World. This is episode number 66 of This Week in Grip. This is Napalm Jedd Johnson from DieselCrew.com, and I'm joined once again by my esteemed co-host, Alan Heineck. Alan, how's it going, dude? How has your weekend been?
Things have been good, actually. Feeling great. Had a really good day yesterday with block weights. I've had this elusive 105 I've been getting consistent air on. I still haven't lifted it, but I've been able to add a lot of weight to some 100 hexes that kind of exceed what that is. So it's right around the corner for me. So it seems like things are finally heading in the right direction again. So
good,
how's it been on your end?
Sounds like you're seeing some good progress, getting some time back on with your hands back on the implements and everything after your recovery, dude. That's awesome. At first I thought you said you had a real good time this weekend with a black wig. And then I realized you were talking about block weight. So it just came through a little different, I guess, on my end.
Sure.
I was at my first ever wine festival yesterday. There's one here in town every year, and my wife goes pretty much every year, and I've never actually gone to it. So this year I went, and I'm not really a wine drinker, Alan. Are you a wine drinker?
No, as a matter of fact, wine's one of those things that tends to sneak up on me, so I've never really had a good experience with it. Right.
Well, it definitely snuck up on me yesterday, and I had to shut things down, as far as the drinking quite quickly. It definitely crept up on me. But did find a couple wines that I actually enjoyed. In the past, I'll try what she's drinking or whatever, and it's like, ugh, no good. But I found a couple, so who knows? Someday I might actually buy a bottle. I mean, I'm not going to put money on it, but it might happen. So, and I'll tell you what, man. I shared something with Alan, and I guess yesterday or the day before, there's an amazing guest coming to Peak Strength and Fitness this week, and I can't wait to tell everybody about it. We're going to keep it under wraps right now. But when everybody sees who is coming to the gym, I think they're gonna be blown away. I was blown away that this development actually took place. So it's pretty cool. It's gonna be happening Tuesday, everybody. So make sure you check it out. Now, Alan and I are going to try to keep this one short today because I have soccer going on. So let's get right into it. Today, what we're going to talk about, we got one topic to get things started, and we've actually been talking about covering this since the middle of June. Alan, I went back in our conversations, and it was all the way back to like June 15th when we first started, when we first found this topic to talk about. So we're going to cover some surprising research about the benefits of having a strong handshake, and then we're going to talk about two dudes who most likely have very strong handshakes. So let's get right into this, Alan, and since I just love to read, I will go ahead and read this to everybody, okay?
All right. Yeah. All right.
Study reveals people with strong handshakes are more intelligent. As per a new research. And this is like some of it's going to sound weird when I read this because new research is that sounds weird to me. So I don't know if this is translated from somewhere else or what, but I noticed there's a couple typos, so I'm going to do my best. As per a new research, people with strong handshakes are more intelligent and have much better memories. The research was conducted by the University of Manchester, in which 475,000 plus were analyzed throughout the United Kingdom, and it was discovered that people who had stronger grips and handshakes performed better in the assessment of brain function. In the general population, the study found that the maximal grip strength was positively and majorly linked to the visual memory, reasoning, quantitative memory, reaction time, and perspective memory. Strong handshakes could be assigned for the bosses to judge when looking for hiring the most intelligent employees at the interview. The most recent study took into consideration, though, gender, weight, age, and education, and now the research team is further looking into expanding the already conducted research. They expect to make such a relationship exhibiting that whether exercise could be a good way of strengthening and boosting brain power. Dr. Joseph Firth, the research study leader, said it could be seen clearly that there is a clear relation between the muscular strength and the health of the brain. He added that more research is needed to test if we could make our brains much healthier by incorporating in activities which makes our muscles stronger, like weight training. Jeffrey Beatty, the head of the psychological sciences of the University of Manchester, have devised a formula which took into consideration 12 key factors required for conveying trust and respect to the recipient of a handshake. Now, this is like the truest part of the article, in my opinion. This stuff is like textbook, Alan. The steps for a perfect handshake with grip are: A, use the right hand. Nothing is more annoying than when someone comes up and shakes with their left hand. Do you agree, Alan?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Now, obviously, if they're holding a baby in their right hand, then I can understand why they would stick the left hand out. But or if their right hand is in a cast, or if, God forbid, they've lost use of their right hand, I could understand the left-hand handshake. But other than that, let's get that right hand out in front of you, brother. A complete and firm grip, but not that hard or strong. What about you, Alan? What do you think about someone that comes up and just crushes your hand during a handshake?
I think, I don't know, I almost think people that do that sort of thing, like literally the hand crushing thing, it's like they're compensating. That's what I think. It's an over display. It's completely unnecessary.
That's right.
You're
just stick the right hand out there and just give a firm grip, not like a bear trap handshake, right?
Right.
Cool. Palm must be cool and dry, not sweaty. Cannot agree more, man. Wipe your damn hand off before you go shaking hands with someone, especially if you're nervous. Do you agree, Alan?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, completely.
Awesome. Now, it also suggests nearly 3 shakes. So when you shake hands, Alan, how many shakes do you actually give?
Typically, it's actually not a shaking thing. I think that's something that's been lost, at least in my region. It's more of a brief grasp and an acknowledgement, an introductory thing. But generally, the shaking part just doesn't happen anymore. Yeah,
I agree. And then, you know who I noticed does that is older ladies. At the church, older ladies, I would say 60 and above, when they shake hands, they do a lot of shaking. Shake. But I agree with what you just said there. It's almost like a lost part of the handshake art, because most people don't shake. You just kind of clasp on there, and it's a hold, more like a bit of a hold. You might say something like, nice to see you, or meet you, or something like that. So that was interesting that the article said that. But, of course, this does seem to come from, the UK. So maybe handshakes in the UK are slightly different. Not sure.
Sure.
Medium level of vigor. So I guess you can't just take the hand, and if you're going to shake it, you don't want to send a tremor through the person's body. You just want to give it a little force, because you don't want to seem like your hand's about ready to break or something like that. You want to show some rigidity, I guess, in there, right, Alan?
That's, when I shake somebody's hand, I more or less, it's not an active squeeze per se. I try to present it as more something rigid for somebody else to be squeezing against, like you're grabbing a hard object. So it's not really an active thing,
Right.
Which I think is almost the best approach, because then you don't go overboard in any direction, but it definitely shows that you're sitting on a little bit of power anyway. Right.
I shook hands with a dude yesterday that, I swear, man, his pinky pad felt like rope covered in black duct tape or electrical tape. It was very, you could tell the dude was a lifter just by his handshake. And I would say he was probably a power lifter who deadlifts a lot. And then after I saw him afterwards, you could tell he's got the leverage for a deadlifter. But I had never met the guy before yesterday, so I couldn't even tell you what his name was now. But it's just interesting. And like you say, I don't think he was actively squeezing into my hand, but because he was just making sure his muscles were activated, you could feel that his hand was dense and had some thickness to it. And then finally, the article says, do not hold the hand any longer than 2 or 3 seconds, because you don't want to make things awkward. You know, do you ever linger, Alan, with your handshake?
I don't personally, but I one time did shake hands with a person, and I actually knew the guy quite well. I hadn't seen him in years. I grew up with his kids, and he came up and shook my hand, and when he grasped my hand, it like lasted the entire length of the conversation. He just didn't let go. Yeah. It was weird. It was weird. It was like almost to the point where like my hand was getting tired, you know.
Right.
So like I should have chalked up first or something. It was strange. But yes, yeah. So I think 2 or 3 seconds is a very legitimate length of time.
Yes.
Much longer than that, you're really just holding hands with the guy, you know.
Yes, for sure. And while making the handshake, eye contact must necessarily be made and kept throughout. And a good, genuine, natural smile with an appropriate verbal statement as per the scientist. So that wraps up the article, Alan. Any other tips that you might have for anyone listening to This Week in Grip about giving a good handshake?
I do. As a matter of fact, I think when you extend your hand to reach somebody for a handshake, I think your fingers should be spread. That allows you to actually get a almost a better purchase, if you will, on the other person's hand. If you have a slightly average size hand or even small and you have it with your fingers close together, you'll almost get encapsulated by somebody else's grip if they have a much larger hand, whereas if you have your fingers spread, it almost allows your index to reach up just a little higher. It just gets you, think of it as just positioning on a block weight, if you will. It's just something strategic to make it just appear a little bit more than what it is. But I think it allows you to actually convey what you're trying to convey.
That's really good, Alan. That's a good call. I don't really have any tips for anybody, but I'll tell you what, when I meet like new kids at the gym, especially youngsters, 10, 12 years old, if they don't give a good handshake, man, I give them a lesson. And I'm like, no, that's not how we shake hands up in this piece. And I say, let's do that again, and we start over, and I make sure they give it a little force in there just to show that they're not a pushover and stuff like that. And I've actually gotten compliments from one kid's grandfather that he was really impressed that I did that. So I think it's important, and I think it's something that will go across through multiple, age levels. And I think it probably could be a difference maker if someone's going to, interview for a job, or if you're meeting your, future fiance's father for the first time. You don't want to seem like a pushover or weak or anything. You want to have a proper handshake. So, no doubt about it. Anything else, Alan?
That part where they mention that, I'll just reread this part of the article. It says strong handshakes could be a sign for the bosses to judge when looking for hiring the most intelligent employees at the interview. Now, right. I literally, I used to be a service manager in a business, and I interviewed a lot of people, and I would interview these people in conjunction with owners of the company that I was also working for. And one day we had an interviewee come in, and on paper he looked very capable. But when we shook his hand, and this was my immediate observation, this predated any sort of grip training, but evidently it was also the owner's observation. It was like grabbing almost like a pack of room temperature hot dogs. You literally could have his hand could have disintegrated in ours.
Right.
And after the interview ended and we excused the guy, the owner of the company looked at me and said, "Don't ever hire a guy like that."
Right. Yeah.
And that was the end of that. So I agree, that is a very real thing. Even though that shouldn't necessarily determine a person's qualifications, it happens, Yeah. So it's important to get that down just right.
Yeah. I mean, where I used to work at the beef plant, the supervisors used to say, don't even worry about doing an interview. Just have him walk across the parking lot, and we'll be able to tell whether or not he's going to stay here by how the guy works or walks across the parking lot. So there's lots of different things that can be indicators as far as a person's willingness to work and, the effort they're going to put into things and stuff along those lines. So if that wraps up the handshake conversation, Alan, maybe you can tell us about a couple of the grip feats that have gone on very recently here, and
sure.
We can discuss these matters.
All right. Well, why don't we kick things off with the the most newest one, I guess, we have a new Captains of Crush 3.5.
Okay.
It's a fellow named Nikita Krivashev. I hope I've pronounced that right. This guy's 26 years old. Dude's 5'11", 317 pounds. This dude's a tank.
5'11", 317?
Yes, an epic
Holy.
monster. Yep. Now, young guy, 26. Apparently, he had started the COC3 at one point, and he is the youngest teenager in Russia to have ever done that.
Okay.
So this dude's got some accolades.
Yeah,
real strong guy.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Yep. So you're looking at him. So one thing I wanted to bring up.
Should I go ahead? We talked about this before the show. Alan wanted to get my reaction to the video. So should I go ahead and start playing it now? Because right now it's standing there talking.
Go ahead and play that. It's a fairly brief video, and we'll get your reactions and my thoughts here.
Okay. So now as I'm watching, the guy that was in the screen may not be the guy that closed it because there's some other dude. Well, I guess maybe this is the guy that's running the camera. So
he's got a white Captain's Crush shirt on.
The dude with like the white shirt on with some blue print on it?
Yes. It looks like that Iron Mind Captain of Crush shirt, the old school style.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah. Yeah, looks like he's got some pretty thick hands on him. The guy that's...
Oh, yeah, those some paws.
Closing. 5'11", 317, dude. 317 is definitely more than I've ever weighed in my life, and I'm a good 6'2", so.
That's solid stuff, yeah. He's a big guy.
Did you say this guy's a teenager, or he was a teenager?
No, he's not. He was a teenager when he started the 3.
Gotcha.
So now he's 26. So
yeah,
a lot of room for future growth there.
Yeah. All right, so now he's got his hand chalked up. The other fellow has given him the gripper. He's got the gripper in his hand. Let's see what we got here. The video keeps blurring.
Yes.
Whew, it was quick.
I could hear it in the background. Have you seen it? You want to get yourself together, and I can give my thoughts out there?
Let me watch it one more time.
Okay.
Well, first off, it sounded like he said "yip," which isn't that no?
I don't know. I didn't hear it.
Okay.
I didn't. That didn't come through for me, or at least wasn't paying attention to that.
Okay.
I watched the video several times.
All right. Well, what do you think about it, Alan? You've got my interest peaked right now.
Okay. So here's what I saw. The video kind of came in and out of focus, which surprised me, considering the magnitude of the certification that we were looking at. Really, shutting a 3.5 is a huge deal. It was a brand new gripper right out of the package as required. The guy had it positioned in his hand. I think things even came in and out of focus again at that time. Yeah. He went to do the credit card swipe and then the close. Now the issue is I couldn't tell that the swipe actually truly passed through the handles as per what we've seen in other cert attempts. Mm-hmm. And then I also couldn't see that the gripper was fully shut. Right. There was a guy's head that went in the way, and not to be overly critical, but I wouldn't have called that's not, in my opinion, a successful cert attempt. Mm-hmm. If I was looking from Iron Mind's perspective at that, I really would have needed something a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think he was kind of, I don't know. I don't want to commit much more than that, but I'm sure he's got the power to shut it. I just didn't see anything compelling enough to me. If that would have been a Mass Monster cert on the grip board, it wouldn't have passed.
No, that wouldn't have counted. I agree.
So I hate to take anything away from the guy. Iron Mind, they passed it. He got on the list. But
yeah.
I don't know. I tell you, there's been a couple of certs recently that I kind of question the validity a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm bothered. That's kind of, to me, when that sort of stuff sneaks through, it's just a slight kind of slap in the face to the guys that did it before and did it better.
Right.
I just don't like it.
I know, and I just want to say right now, there ain't no way that I can credit cards close 3.5. So if anybody hears me say something here and says like, "Well, let's see you do it" or something like that, I certainly can't do it. But That's the thing I think that is, kind of, I guess I'll use the words, sets apart the two certifications between Iron Mind and Mash Monster, is because Mash Monster requires good, solid video. And if your video sucks, even if you smashed it and made like the handles disintegrate, it's not going to count. Whereas, as far as I know, Iron Mind still doesn't actually require the video. They really just go by what the referee says. Am I wrong on that, Alan?
I actually don't know. I know for like the Crush to Dust cert, they don't require video documentation, but I think they like it. But I thought they wanted to at least see a still of the gripper close.
Right.
But I really can't remember. And the thing about Iron Mind too is sometimes the rules kind of change here and there.
Yeah.
So I don't know necessarily where they're at. Yeah. But I would definitely like to hear what some other people have to think about this, because it's on Iron Mind's website. You'll see it right away. It's easy to view the video. Chime in.
So the link is on the Iron Mind website, Alan?
Yes. If you click where you can see that the gentleman inserted the 3.5, and you scroll down the article, they actually post the link that you just click right on it, brings the video up, and you can see it. So we'll see what everybody else thinks.
I agree. So, you cannot tell that card passed through the handles properly based on looking at the video on my phone right now.
Yes.
Now,
I should have stated, I don't have a way to slow it down on anything I was looking at either.
Right.
So
the other thing is, it didn't look to me like the witness was in a position where he could have told that, discerned that, although he may have been. And then, without a doubt, when the best chance that gripper is closed is when the camera is still zoomed out, and at that point, the witness's head is right there, almost completely blocking the gripper. The gripper close, at that range of motion, and then when the camera zooms in or gets closer, you can see that the gripper's open. There's no doubt. Now, sometimes grippers touch instantly or instantaneously. What I'm trying to say is they touch for just an instant and then they automatically open up. So you can still get credit for that close. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like they were able to convincingly capture it on the video, which is too bad, because he may have completely, obliterated this, and he might be able to do this every day of the week and twice on Sundays, but unfortunately the video just doesn't convey that.
Yes, absolutely. I agree completely. A lot of red, a lot of red flags kind of went up on that one for me, unfortunately. Yeah. So. And
then what was the not to rush out of that one, Alan? I didn't know if you had anything else to say on that, but maybe we should just cover this next feat.
No, hit the next one. Yeah. So Big Rich Williams been real active recently. Since we've been seeing a lot of Brian Shaw's inch dumbbell feats and a lot of these grip feats that have been showing up recently. So Rich Williams pulled 560 on his axle. Very convincingly at that 560. Yes, monstrous pull. Now he uses a solid steel bar axle. I don't know what manufacturer it is, but Swagger Strength used to make a solid 2-inch. It was like cold rolled steel axle.
Yep.
So that's what he's using. But he picked this thing up like it was easy. Solid pause. It was a very convincing lift. It wasn't rushed at all. It was insanely impressive. So huge congratulations there. I have one thing to add. He's a big, strong guy. This is a solid pull. I wish some of the documentation was done a little bit differently on some of these things that I see these guys do. I'd like to know a little bit more than just to see just straight plate weight, and stuff. With just the bar, because it leaves so many. Well, here's the deal, and this could go either way. For example, but he indicates his bar weighed 75 pounds, and that would mean, based off of my calculations off the internet, that the bar would have to be 7 feet, 0.02, or 7.02 feet. That's an odd number. That doesn't even make sense to me. And it's actually not the length of like where Napoleon's axle would be, which is about 86.5 inches in length, a little over 7 feet. So it's hard to interpret that. I'd like to know a little bit more about the axle, because if that was the same length as the Apollon's axle, then his could actually weigh more in the tune of almost 77.5 pounds, depending on what chart you're looking at.
Sure.
But then when we're talking about, straight plate weight, we know that these things can vary up or down. You know?
Absolutely. I have a 45 that weighs 46 and change, and I have a 45 that weighs 43 and change.
Yes, and that's the point where I was about to make. So I don't want to take anything away from this. So as likely it is that Rich lifted a flat 560, it might have been 550, it might have been 570. Mm-hmm. I'd like to know a little bit. I'd just like to know a little bit more. So I can't, hey, when you're pulling, almost 40 pounds over the world record, I mean, even with the worst case, if he wasn't pulling exactly what he thought, he still pulled probably a legit 25 pounds over it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to know a little bit more. I wish he would, I understand he probably just doesn't have the interest in that. But, I'd just like to see a little bit more. Have him show up at a competition and rip something monstrous off the ground, make things just a little bit more official. You're pulling that kind of stuff, you got a rightful spot on the ladder somewhere, Yeah,
for sure. That's the one thing that that's my first response when I see a video from Rich doing the axle, because he always completely slaughters the weight. It's not like I've never seen him pull something that was like a questionable lockout. It's always pulls it to lockout and actually holds it. And he doesn't even drop it. He usually sets it down forcefully, in a celebratory adrenaline rush type of way.
That was how this was.
And I haven't seen the video, but I can imagine from what I've seen in the past. But the question is, and this is my reaction every time, why doesn't he come to a grip contest and just take hold of the record? Nobody else that I can think of, well, nobody's a strong term. Let me take that back. But most people in grip don't just claim world records on lifts that are tracked in competition when they do a big lift in their training. Does that make sense? When people know that the world record is maintained on gripsport.org, they don't just claim world records that when they break or when they lift heavier than what the number one lift is. In fact, generally, if you see something from Michael Thomas, he'll say this currently exceeds the world record in competition. He clearly describes what actually happened in the lift. He doesn't claim this is world record. I would like to see Rich come to a competition and just get this thing done, especially since he was supposed to come to the Philly contest, didn't come, and then lifted world record plus level weight in training within a week. So I just don't. It's hard for me to wrap my head around someone that is so adamant that they are stronger than people that are putting up videos on a regular basis and have put up big numbers, and but they won't come to a competition to just settle everything. I just don't understand that. And then they go and block people for no reason. They haven't said anything that would warrant blocking. So that's my question. That's my question right there. Maybe someone can relay this question to Rich Williams, and he can tell us what he thinks, because I just don't see the point of it.
I don't understand, because he's aware. He states what the world record is, so he knows precisely what it is, and he makes a point to say it. But then he presents it as though he's completely not interested. Right. And it just doesn't make sense to me, though. You know what the world record is. You pull more than it. You don't care. Why did you even load it on an axle? I don't get it. Yeah. It just doesn't fit to me. There's nothing about that adds up. And after the Brian Shaw show, I had actually I contacted Rich via message and asked him if he wanted to be on our show, and his reply back was, what show? Which almost to me sounded like he might have been interested, but it was clear that he wasn't aware of our show. Mm-hmm. Then I told him what it was and what it was about, and then he just says, nah, and he kind of just dismissed it. So it was like he almost literally has no interest. It's like there's no interest in grip. Right. So I don't know what drives him at all. I'd like to hear more. Yeah. It doesn't fit.
What the reasoning is behind these decisions that he makes. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's just frustrating to me because he gets up on his platform on Facebook and makes these statements, and then he's got 50 people making comments in support of him. So they're like, why don't you have the world record? Why isn't your name at the top of the list? You just did this lift. Well, that's the point where you need to educate people and say, well, this is a training lift, and this is not the same axle, so they wouldn't even use this axle in the event. That's an opportunity there to clear up some confusion, but it never takes place. So it's
right. He never addresses
a layer of frustration for me.
Yep, I agree completely. Yeah, no, I'd like to hear more. I hope, I know Joe Musselwhite in the past has listened to the show, and I think he has some relationship with Rich. So hopefully this can, maybe bounce his way back to him, because I'd still like to have him on the show.
Right, I would too.
And hear some things.
I would too.
So,
yep. Well, Alan, that was a very interesting discussion on those 2 feats. Those were 2 really good topics there. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the Handshake article at the beginning as well. But let's sign off for now. The next show we will have Joe Sullivan, and he'll be talking about the Cross Canada contest that took place about a week or so, and we're going to get all the lowdown from what happened from him. And again, like I said, keep your eye out for what's going to be taking place at my gym this week. I think everybody's going to be quite surprised, and it should be a good time. But other than that, Alan, the show's yours. Take it away.
All right. Well, that's episode 66 of This Week in Grip. Everybody, thanks for listening. Make sure to use the hashtag. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below about your thoughts on that COC 3.5 cert. And if anybody knows Rich Williams, pass this along to him. And we'll be back next week with another one. Talk to you later.